Jeremy Rosenthal, legal analyst. Thanks so much for joining us. Really fast-paced Monday morning. So we knew the jury was coming back for this lesser charge. Didn't take them long.
No, it didn't. Obviously, they maybe thought about things over the weekend, and it sounds like it's pretty interesting because they were deadlocked on the more difficult charge, telling us that there were people in that room who were pro guilty verdict and pro not guilty verdict on the higher charge. Once that higher charge went away, you would think that those guilty votes would not have gone away, but apparently they were not as dug in apparently, or they had some extra thoughts about it over the weekend. In any event, a good day for Daniel Penny.
Yeah, especially giving the really the nature of how it all went down on Friday, where it was thrown out because the jury just could not come to a decision here, and ultimately that big charge was dropped, and then to hold it out over the weekend, not knowing what that jury was going to do, had to be hard on both sides, really.
Very stressful for sure on the defendant, on the prosecution, on Mr. Neely's family. This is how court goes. This is how trial goes. And a lot of times, what I see when juries are deliberating is when you get to the end of a day, a long day of deliberations, of disagreements. And in this instance, you get on a Friday, everybody gets a chance to go home, reset. As a lawyer friend of mine calls it, the brain janitor gets to go in the middle of the night and sweep away all the debris and all that stuff. The jurors wake up the next morning more clear-headed, if you will, and they just come and obviously there was a broad consensus this morning that they didn't have on Friday.
And when will we know just how many, if there was one holdout or multiple holdouts on Friday? When does that kind of information come out?
Once the verdicts are read, and then the judge can release the jurors from their service, and that lifts the vow, if you will, of secrecy that they have, and they can talk about what their deliberations were like. So it can be as soon as today. Obviously, I think the press and some of the folks want to respect the jurors' space, privacy, and all that stuff. When you're Mr. Penny and you're on the winning side of this, you kind of want to just sort of run from the courthouse like you stole something. You just want to get out of Dodge and go and have a nice life, and you're not so concerned about what the jury might say. If you're the prosecution, you might want to sort of listen in. But in any event, when there's an acquittal, there's really nothing that the jury can do or say, even if they did act improperly. Not that we think that happened, but if the jury did act improperly, there's no real remedy for the prosecution because jeopardy has attached, and you cannot try Mr. Penny again for double jeopardy. He is acquitted. This is done. Now, on the reverse side, had this been a conviction and we learned about something that was weird about the deliberations, Mr. Penny would potentially have the ability to appeal that.
And what does this mean going forward for a vigilante? Somebody that comes, they see a situation that looks to be threatening. What does this mean going forward to someone that says, you know what? I saw the Daniel Penny case. I feel like I can act and help maybe save others in a train, in a public space. What does this mean going forward?
Well, it's certainly, I would think, good news from that standpoint from folks who see it that way. And again, this case has been a flashpoint for a lot of reasons because there's just so much to unpack in this case. You've got homelessness, you've got mental illness, you've got security on the subways, right? You've got self-defense, you've got all of these things that have sort of converged to make this case sort of that snowflake that kind of has it all. And in this instance, I don't know that somebody who is faced with that issue on a New York subway, maybe this verdict is going through their mind and maybe it's not. If it is, then maybe they do feel a little more at liberty to take assertive action, to take aggressive action against an individual in defense of another person. So this does, I think, help that that mindset. On the flip side, I mean, you just have to remember that these cases get to be so fact specific, and that there will never truly be an identical case to this, and any one of those little factors can turn the whole thing.
I'm also interested, now obviously Daniel Penny walking free, walking home here. But at the end of the day, you're still going to be Daniel Penny. And anytime someone Googles you, whatever you want to do in your life, he has a full life ahead of him. He's only 26, 27. So what happens and how does he navigate life now? I mean, you're still going to be the Daniel Penny. And as soon as someone Googles you, I mean, it's going to be all over.
Right. He also got sued by the Neely family, which he's not through with that. And there's a lower burden of proof there, right? Because a criminal case is proof beyond a reasonable doubt. In civil court, it's beyond a preponderance of the evidence, 50% or greater, which is, for instance, you saw OJ, who got held liable, civilly liable for the murders. But he was obviously acquitted, of the same charges. So he still has that to deal with. But I mean, he's got some notoriety, whether he likes it or not, from this case. I mean, if he makes a book deal, do the plaintiffs, does the Neely family reap all the proceeds from that? I don't know. But that's one of the hard things about this. I mean, I'm a criminal lawyer. I defend people for a living, and the whole goal is to keep people out of off the internet, out of the media, out of everything, right? Because if you can see that somebody's been accused, a lot of folks can't make the distinction of this person was accused but was found not guilty, or the charges were dismissed. A lot of folks are just going to kind of throw the baby out with the bathwater. When you get a case like this that's splashed everywhere over the media, you just have to deal with it the best you can. And maybe he goes on a speaking tour. Maybe he has a book deal. Maybe he goes out and reaches out to the Neely family, and they're able to do something together to kind of discuss the broader issues. You would hope that he does. He's been given a new lease on life, and you would hope that he does something positive with it.
Jeremy Rosenthal, thanks so much for joining us so quickly after that verdict just dropped. We really appreciate your insight, as always, right here on Live Now from Fox.
Have a great morning.
You as well.